My investigation reveals that background checks aren't always done, and they're often unreliable. You're about to meet a woman on a crusade to tighten things up after her sister was murdered by a duct cleaner in Florida. We begin with a case that hits closer to home.
You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior.
Jason Meinke is no stranger to the court system. He's had 7 personal protection orders filed by 7 different women. He's had 6 criminal convictions since 1999, even did time in state prison. So why was this guy sent into these women's homes to do air duct cleaning? Both responded to ads from Sears, and both had frightening experiences after Meinke was sent out to do the work.
I started receiving vulgar, sexual text messages.
Text messages that police later traced to Jason Meinke's cell phone, and cops later discovered someone had left a window unlocked at her home. Beth Morgan started dating Meinke years ago after he came out to clean her air ducts. Meinke turned into a stalker. It went on for years until he was convicted of aggravated stalking back in August. Meinke worked at a Sears franchise operation for 7 years, and they took him back after a stint in state prison.
I understand that people have had legal problems, and I understand that we need to give back to society and to give people a chance, but there are limitations.
Should he have been going into people's homes?
Absolutely not. There's no way.
Lucia Bone runs a nonprofit called CAUSE, Consumer Awareness of Unsafe Service Employment. She's motivated by a family tragedy, the murder of her sister, Sue Weaver, a case with eerie parallels to Jason Meinke's story in Michigan. In 2001, Sue Weaver hired a prominent department store here in Orlando to clean out her air ducts. They sent out 2 convicted felons, one a 2-time rapist named Jeffrey Heffling. 6 months later, Heffling returned to Sue Weaver's home, raped and murdered her, and set a fire to cover up the crime. In this case, there was no background check done.
A background check could and should have saved my sister's life.
On the night Jeffrey Heffling was arrested, Lucia's 78-year-old mother Googled his name.
And he came up as a registered sex offender in the state of Florida, and it said occupation AC repairman, caution, extremely violent and dangerous towards women.
There are no laws, state or national, requiring background checks. And when companies do background checks, you can't always trust them. Mike Coffey is an expert in background screening. He says employers, especially large companies, often do it on the cheap, relying on criminal databases that are notoriously inaccurate.
I often tell employers, if that's all you're going to do, just put your money in escrow for your attorney fees, because something's going to happen.
Coffey says a proper background screening requires checking local court records in every jurisdiction a person has lived. Jason Meinke passed a background check for Sears even after serving time in prison. We found his criminal convictions and personal protection orders in local court files.
I believe there's a job for everyone. Everyone has the right to work, just not in my home.
Lucia Bone travels the country now trying to warn people of the potential danger from in-home service workers.
It might be air conditioner repairman, delivery person for furniture. You never know. At one time or another, we all need service work done at our home.
Bone is also pushing for legislation requiring thorough background checks for in-home service workers and encouraging companies to be responsible and do it on their own.
I mean, to spend $150, $200 on a background check that's really, really thorough for somebody you're sitting in somebody's home, to me seems like a no-brainer.
In the meantime, Bone says there are some things you can do to protect yourself. Ask the company if they do a background check. Ask what type of background check they do. Do they rely on a criminal database, or do they check local court records? Ask what crimes disqualify a person from working there.
They might have a policy that disqualifies rape, but they don't disqualify stalking, or they just don't disqualify drugs. Know who you hire, know who you open your door to. Don't be home alone with that service employee. Invite a friend over for coffee.
Lucia Bone will be adding a new feature to her webpage listing CAUSE-certified companies, those that have done the most thorough background checks. Anybody will be able to check companies for free by zip code. It'll even show you a picture of the technician coming to your home. We have a link to the CAUSE site on our webpage, WXYZ.com. Scott Lewis, 7 Action News.